It happens when you win a championship. Some some guys got to show up. You need to add to the culture to get that triple. And I'm going to be on this all summer long, folks. The triple is the course. Clark ain't afraid of it. They're making extensions left and right on the coaching staff. We got to start talking about who they're going to be coaching. Dan Harms is going to tell you why I'm crazy, and he's going to tell you what they ought to do for his free agent class. And I'm going to argue my free agent class as we answer all of your questions tonight here on RGR Football. This is your show. You guys get to run it. We're just going to give you our thoughts. We'll start off with a couple of things, just because we always do, and then we will get rolling. Every super chat gets an answer tonight. So you want to support the channel, want to get on the air tonight, go ahead and throw a super chat in there. We're going to answer all of your questions. And Jeremy, that list is long. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, we'll talk about it too.
Yeah, right. We appreciate you guys supporting us. If you want in the memberships and you want to know the down and dirty, when we come across one and when we call each other and just say they ain't going to draft this dude because he don't fit, we're not going to say that in public. We're not going to run anybody down. But if you want our honest opinion, you might hear some of that in the members area. So go ahead and join it, rookies and above, and you can get in there. You can see the Discord. It's going to be a fun season of draft and free agency because they got a lot to do. Maybe more so, Dan, than I've thought so in the last couple of years. Do you see this as a bigger task this offseason than last?
I think so, because they have to actually address the wide receiver room. They didn't think they had to last year, and this is going to add another layer. They're always drafting DBs, and they're going to have to address the defensive line, possibly linebacker, depending on how that shakes out. I would still like to see some depth there if Willie Gay doesn't come back. So you have to think about that probably in free agency, because they don't really have many day 3 picks, and that's what they usually do to throw at those positions. So you have to think about that. And the running back room, Clyde's gone. Maybe Jarek retires. He wants to come back, but you have one guy that's done anything. So you have to worry about that. There's a lot of things that they're going to have to worry about in this off season. So free agency is going to be quite important for them, in my opinion, because those value contracts, those wide receivers, those tight ends, those running backs, I'm probably not running back, but probably draft a running back, or actually probably just bring in a UDFA, because that's what they do. Yeah. And then look to get someone on the cheaper side, because running backs are pretty cheap even in the market. So there's a lot of different ways that this offseason can look very different in a draft strategy in 1 month's time. It could look extremely different, completely different. So we have a lot that we want. Those mock draft Mondays and stuff are going to be coming out, and look at ones from this month, and then look at ones right after free agency starts, like 2 weeks after free agency starts, and see the difference, because that's really what this is going to come down to. How the Chiefs address their needs in free agency opens up what they'll do in the draft.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And I'm kind of keen for it right now, because the free agent class, I won't say it's earth-shattering. I was hearing last week that T. Higgins might not get the tag. Well, he did. Makes perfect sense if you're a Bengal. So I would have done that. But that takes a big chip off the table, right? And so what I think is, while we want them to make a big splash, we know they're not apt to do that very often. So it's going to come down to what happens in the next week or two with Chris. We've talked about that the last time we were live as well. If you guys want to go back and see that, make sure you do. We'll cover it tonight too. But I agree with you. I think the volume of free agency is going to be the lower end. Guys are going to fill spots on the roster. I agree with the UDFA thing. I could bring in a ton of UDFA running backs and feel very, very, very comfortable. So, in fact, we're going to go through a number of those. And there's one dude in a small school that we saw down in Mobile that I really do like when I come back to it as that area, right? But before we do all that, it comes down to this. I almost named this like fast free agents, because some of the guys that are on the cover here, on the thumbnail for this video, I know you guys are going to ask about. If you don't ask about them, then just skip ahead. If you're watching this on a review, do about minute 55, because if we haven't covered the dudes on the cover, we're going to. But the top one, just to reiterate for me, is bring back L'Jarius Sneed because of his age and because of his talent. If you can get that done with Chris, even better. But you got to have speed. You can't afford to get slower. And they definitely used it in the defensive backfield. Now they got to switch it to the offensive side. So that's kind of like my overarching kind of thing is not to quote a Raider, but when it's true, it's true. Speed kills. And that's what wins in this game. And you got to have it. So I do think that it was the noticeable thing. Nevis, welcome to the memberships. Nice to see you. I'm glad to have you aboard.
Thanks.
You want in the Discord and you're a rookie member, get in there and just connect your Discord.
Welcome in.
Oh, we all do that Welcome Back Cotter song. Maybe that can be that. Maybe that can be our. You don't seriously.
I don't know what that is.
I give up. I'm out.
This is why Ryan's crazy. Part 1, Jeremy, because he expects me to know everything, but then he forgets that I am younger than he is.
I do. You don't remember the 70s, Dan? For shit's sake, come on.
You know, I'm sorry. I don't know the 70s very well. Now, I will say that I was brought up on 60s, 70s, and 80s music, but if I heard it, I might know the song, but I have not. I don't know it based off the name. That doesn't mean that I don't know it. I just don't know it based off name. But like we're talking
musical Jeopardy.
60s, then. 70s, and 80s is like what I was brought up on. So I'm like well versed in good music.
Okay. Do you recognize musical Jeopardy, or do I have to explain that reference too?
I think we all understand what musical Jeopardy is.
Okay, just checking. I might have just gotten older just sitting here. I don't know, man. Jacob, would you guys take Ladd at 32 if Worthy is already off the board? I'm going to let you answer this one because I'm going to give my thought away.
I'm a big fan of Ladd. And again, we're talking at 32. You're kind of just taking who you want. I don't have a first-round grade on him. Obviously, at that point, you're not getting your first-round grades anyway. But it's really going to come down to who's on the board, because I have quite a few receivers ranked ahead of Ladd still. And if it's not Worthy, I mean, I'm starting to think he's going to be there. I don't really think he's not going to be there. Now, this can all change after this week, by the way. It is Combine week, everybody. And he can absolutely change his draft stock based off what he runs. I think he's going to have a very good week, and that can change some things. But no, I'm not taking Ladd at 32.
I won't have him graded there either. I will tell you that. Like I said earlier, see my further comments, speed does kill, and Worthy's going to test pretty well. I think that it will get him a little bit, but I agree. I think he's right as a fringe 32 guy right there. So I think it's going to be close, but I think I would wait on Ladd a little bit. If it gets to 32 and he's there and there's another, say, receiver option like my guy Polk, I could see trading down around 40 and picking one of them up, and I'd be comfortable there. Would you?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like it's going to be where do they want to trade down if they do, because there is depth. But if there's a guy at tackle and they haven't addressed it in free agency that they like, they'll probably take him at 32. It's a very good tackle class. So you have to really bank on what's going to be there. And this could be a situation like it was when the Chiefs drafted Sky Moore, where they traded back in the second round to get him. But they could do that in the first to the early second and still get the guy that they want and acquire maybe some more day 3 capital, because that would be really good for them in the depth department that they're going to need from this draft class that they don't have right now.
I'm going to call the 7th round the Isaiah Pacheco round from now on. So yeah, you're just looking to acquire picks there so you can pick up your next starting running back. That's what I'm here for all day long and twice on Sunday. It's going to be great. Thank you, Jacob. Great question. And here's another one from you. I'm starting to like the idea of trading back a few picks. Well done. Some might not want to come get a quarterback and see how deep the wide receivers know. I think that's a good idea. Again, if their guys are gone or guys that we would recommend are gone, there's no reason not to do that, because what you see from their philosophy, both even with Wanya Morris, certainly with the wide receivers, is they feel that the second round is still great talent and often is better value in terms of the percentage of picks that hit and stick on a roster. So I would not be surprised if that's in the cards.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense.
I think they were trying to do that last year when they took Felix because they didn't have a trade partner. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your thought on this one, and my earbud's dying, so I'm grabbing another one.
Ryan, appreciate you, man. Does the draft have plenty of running backs who are more excited than Austin Eckler? Well, Austin Eckler at this point in his career and coming off the injury is not very exciting. So, yes, the answer to that question would be yes. And really, after you get past the first 2 rounds, it becomes plentiful. There's a lot of draft, there's a lot of picks, there's a lot of players, and a lot of different styles that I think really is useful, specifically in today's NFL.
For the record, I like running backs with 2 knees. Makes me happy. So it's long in the tooth for him. I mean, like, again, we talk about this every year. You have to have your stars on this roster, especially when you're a back-to-back champion.
Yeah.
You got to have your vet min guys. If he wants to come in as a vet min and be a third down back, catch out of the backfield, I'm good with that. But you're not getting paid. You're not getting paid to come to Kansas City as a free agent running back. So I don't think that's necessarily in the cards. But I won't argue. Ryan's got another one. Who might be the other starting defensive tackle if Chris Jones comes back? I mean,
I think we both kind of assume at this juncture, not yet, Ryan, that Isaiah Buggs is going to be in play for that starting defensive tackle spot. He was signed to a futures contract, and if Chris Jones comes back, the way it looks right now is that Buggs would be the guy that start is that one tech run stuffing guy. That's how it seems to me.
And that's based on role, not responsibility. Just like Derek Nottie has been the starter, but he's not the pass rush guy, right? He's going to come off the field on third down. Same thing would be with Buggs. But I also feel, I mean, you never know what could happen. A guy named Murphy could show up. You could get a deal. Somebody could test positive for something this week and get his butt all the way down to 32 and make me happy, just like Justin Houston did. So I'm here for that as well. I can dream. Come on.
Yes,
Micah,
you can do that.
Thank you. This is why I'm crazy, part 2, Jeremy. Micah, nice to see you, and thanks, buddy. Do you think that Jackson would outbid us for Ridley, even with them losing a second-round pick to Atlanta, if Ridley re-signs in Jack? Some Chiefs writers think they will. I don't know that there's going to be a bidding war for him. I don't think he's really going to entertain a lot. I think he, at his point in his career, learning another system, I'm not sure he wants to go anywhere. It's always sexy to go to the champ, but again, he would make less money because they're not going to pay a guy that age what they've paid MVS. I think they've learned their lesson there. I don't know, Dan. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I don't really feel like the Chiefs are going to get into bidding wars for wide receivers like this. They understand what they are. They just won a Super Bowl off of one of the worst wide receiver rooms that they've had maybe since the 0 wide receiver touchdown year in Kansas City. Obviously, Rashee Rice was a fantastic story all year long, but I don't think that they really feel like they have to do anything when they were still able to get it done. So you're going to see some bargain bin shopping, and Calvin Ridley is just at this point 29, going to be 30 years old. He's not someone that's going to command much from this team specifically because they don't. I'll be very honest with you. They don't need him. They don't need him. Rashee Rice can be that guy for this team. Calvin Ridley and Rashee Rice, in my opinion, can fit a lot of the same molds in what they're asked to do. I think next year, if the Chiefs decide that they want to use him more as like a outside receiver, he'll be used kind of the way that Calvin Ridley was, but he's not the route runner that Calvin was. So there's always that.
Yeah, there is, but he is not the vertical threat that MVS has been. So it's not a 1-for-1 replacement. I do expect MVS to part ways with this team. In fact, we did a salary cap breakdown on Locked On tonight. You guys can see that here shortly. And that's one move that it's just too good to ignore. Now, could they restructure him instead? It's a possibility just to keep that threat. And 4 good games in the postseason without a major flaw. Sometimes, I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but Andy might. Just saying.
Maybe.
Micah, is it better to have 2 elite corners or 1 elite corner and 1 elite pass rusher? Jones or Snead? Great pod. Thanks. Appreciate you, Micah. And that's really the conundrum. Where do you fall in this question?
I mean, I would prefer to have 1 elite corner, 2 an elite pass rusher, but I prefer to have all 3. I prefer to have all 3. That's where I come down on this one, Micah. But if we have to pick between one, give me the pass rusher and the elite corner, because when you can do elite things in two separate areas, you give yourselves more ways to win. It's just the way of the world.
You can compensate by having one elite corner, by rotation, by doubles, other areas in the field. You can compensate for that, and you can still get after the quarterback. I agree. I would take one of each. That would be my goal. Scott, what are these rumblings of Charles O wanting a new deal? Will he get one? You got to ask.
Where are they coming from, though? Where are they coming from? He just got signed last offseason. What's happening here? He just got hurt. You think you're a contract? What's happening here?
He got signed last offseason. He missed 6 games for an off-the-field issue and then got hurt. Yeah.
What are we doing here? Come on. I don't know what's happening.
Somebody made it up.
I don't know. This is not the first time I've seen it. They're saying that he's himself asking for it. Why? Why would the Chiefs pay you after 6 game suspension? Then you got hurt immediately. Like, what are we doing? No offense. He's a great player for this team, but I don't understand this.
His agent is trying to seize the opportunity because they feel that Chris isn't coming back. And they look at that defensive line unit, especially on the interior, and they go, who the hell is left? Oh, maybe they'll pay us because we're willing to come back and we're there.
Not Charles Omenihu because his Achilles or because his ACL is blown out. I know that.
But that's the way an agent thinks. Oh, there's a gap. We can try to make that work. No, he's not getting a new contract, Scott. He will not get one. I'm pretty sure unless Chris and the negotiator just blows the hell up. You can't take that risk on a guy who's injured right now today.
I just want to apologize to Charles Omenihu. It's not meant at you. Like, I understand. But this whole process, that makes no sense. And everybody understands that getting a new contract in Kansas City is not happening after 6 game suspension and then an injury. It's just not. It's not possible.
Yeah. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I doubt it comes from Charles himself. I'm just saying that out loud. My guess is if it's being requested anywhere, it's from an agent. Hey, that's their job. Scott, which members of the Chiefs coaching staff are leaving? We haven't heard of any departures, but we know that Joe Cullen got an extension, got more money. Then Spags got an extension. Tobe got an extension. Now Brandon Daly's got one. Now they're talking about extending Andy Reid. There ain't much room left for leaving. Dave Merritt ain't going nowhere. He talked extensively about loving his role and being in this. Could he be offered a defensive coordinator position? Probably. But I guess he's got kids that are just starting high school, about the same age as mine. Evidently, he ain't going anywhere for a while. So you got to look at the junior members. I don't see anyone that screams they're definite leaving because I think Andy gives a lot of second chances. We talked a lot about the wide receivers coach, Connor Embry, during the season. Rasheed may have balanced that out. Who knows? Do you see anybody leaving?
You can't right now. I would still be looking to upgrade my wide receiver coach. I would. And that's just because you need real other returns. Yes, it's great that Rasheed Rice did better. I'm not going to give that to Connor Embry. I'm just not. I'm going to put that on everyone else and Rasheed Rice just being really, really talented. I don't believe that he coached him up to be able to be that. I just, from everything that we've seen from the other wide receivers and stuff, I just don't believe that. So you have to have something else to hang your hat on, and they need to get better. Sky Moore is going to be on the team next year. They need a coach that can get the best out of him, and I don't think that that's Connor Embry. And that they're going to have young players, young wide receivers on this roster that I don't believe he's going to be able to improve upon. So I would be looking constantly to upgrade at my wide receiver coach.
Yeah. I will tell you the one guy that gives me pause, only because he's done all the grunt work. And with Nagy back, he kind of got put on pause for his next promotion. I think most coaching staffs around the league are pretty set. And that's one nice thing about playing in the Super Bowl. You can't talk to their coaches until it's over. And a lot of guys have to set their coaching rosters already. But the one guy that I think might get some interest because of how prolific this offense is Joe Blaymire, the pass game coordinator, the guy who's kind of bopped around from position to position. Yeah. And he's got a nice, well-rounded coaching resume at this point. Maybe it's not even this season, but just keep an eye on Joe because I do think other teams will come calling for him eventually.
Next year, Dave Merritt's going to get a defensive coordinator position. I'm almost positive. Like, he's so good. Someone's going to come and get him. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah. I can't argue. I just hope that's not the case. Scott, what contract extension would you want to see be seeing on the news? How soon should this be coming out for us to feel optimistic? if you
I think that they
extend
have
Joe Tooney.
Chris. I think they have to get the Chris Jones one done, right? Like they have to get that done.
They could do an extension like for Joe, right? I know he's coming off an injury, but he's only got 2 years left, and like it gets pretty expensive. If they extended him first, you get more cap space for Chris. So that seems like maybe an easy one. I know he's hurt, and I know folks are going to scream at me. You can't extend a dude that just blew his pec out. I ain't too worried.
Still doing it. Creed Humphrey is another one. You could extend him. But he's not going to be giving you a lot of cap space because he was not making very much to begin with. So you want to get those high value guys. Travis Kelce can get a contract extension, and that would be something I'd like to see because that will lower his cap hit as well. Give him money he deserves and shut everybody up about him retiring next year.
I'm down. I'm totally down. Ian McKee, thank you, sir. What's your gut feeling? Tag Snead to sign him or trade him? For me, if you tag Snead, you're signing him. I would not trade him away. The question is going to be do they have to use the tag on Chris? That's what's going to come down to, I think.
Yeah, I think that they're going to tag Snead for sure.
You do?
I wouldn't trade him because you're not going to get enough return on investment, and you'll get more for Chris if you do that. So I know everyone's saying that Dave Merritt won't take a DC job until his kids are out of school. Money changes things, guys. Money changes a lot. And someone throws a bag at you, you're probably going to say, all right, I understand this, but I'm going to go ahead and take this job over here because it gives me a lot of money.
And it depends on the team. You're absolutely right. I mean, that could be the difference between it's good to keep your kids in one high school. I get that.
For sure.
But taking that job could pay for their college educations. So yes, you got to keep that in mind. I happen to believe unless it's a really high paying DC job, I agree he'll probably stay, but.
Yeah, I'm just saying someone could throw a bag. You never know.
You never know. Patrick, nice to see you, buddy. Welcome in, everyone.
What's going on, Patrick?
Jeremy, I am still crazy, and we're still proving that. So I'm going to leave you up there, Jeremy. You're going to get some screen time tonight.
There we go.
Could the Chiefs draft go Darius Robinson edge, pick a wide receiver in the second, Blake Fisher in the third, in the first 3 rounds? Doubtful.
Bless you.
Thanks,
she's allergic to that first 3 picks. Brett. No, I'm just joking. Darius Robinson's not a first round player, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. And people are like trying to say he's a really good athlete. No, he's rigid. He's very rigid. He can't corner. He can't turn. He can't do much. So Darius, he's got really good power. And every once in a while, he could throw someone out of his way to get into the inside, but he's not getting there unless he's angled right at the B gap. He's just not getting there. So this entire Darius Robinson is a first round player hype, I just cannot get behind it all. I do think that they could not take a wide receiver in the first round and take someone in the second round because it's very deep. It's very good. That is possible. And I haven't watched Blake Fisher, so I can't give you an opinion there.
I've started to. I haven't gotten deep on him, but I do think day 2 is absolutely the range. But we're going to have 96, right? I think that is a possibility. Could he go as early as 80? Maybe, but I think 90s sounds about right. Right tackle only to me. That involves a flip for Juwan to left, which I also think is one of the possibilities. So certainly, Brett, I like that. Is Dalton Schultz, would he work next to Travis?
For sure, but he'd be expensive. He'd be like a $6-7 million tight end.
Yeah, at least.
Kansas City's not going to do that. They're already going to be paying Travis $15-16 million a year.
Isn't he coming off the franchise tag too?
Yeah, I think so. No, he was signed a 1-year deal in Houston. So he might I think he's going back to Houston personally because there's no reason not to. Great chemistry.
You're not going to play with Patrick. Why not play with CJ?
Yeah, if we're absolutely he was $6.2 million last year. That's not going to fly. It's just not going to fly for the Chiefs. But there are some interesting options. Noah Fant is one option I would love to see in Kansas City. He is somebody that could learn a lot from Travis Kelce, and he wouldn't be super expensive. We're talking maybe $2 million a year. I can get behind that quite easily.
I got a day 3 rookie in my sights for that role as well, but certainly
we've got
an option.
There's a lot of TCU wily information floating around about this guy. So watch how he tests, because he's somebody else that I would love to see in Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm interested to see him as well. My guy is might as well let it out now. My guy's Holker from CSU. I think you guys might dig him. I certainly do, and I like the fit. John, how much stock is being put into the combine and the Shrine Bowl versus and Senior Bowl when grading prospects? It's not as much as the game film. Game film rules all. Senior Bowl is certainly a good percentage. Every team does it a little bit different. There's some analytics teams. They're going to look at production and like the matrix numbers, the combine test data more than others. It's always going to come back to the film for the Baltimore Ravens. Chiefs are kind of a tweener. They will take some chances. And I don't know how you feel, Dan, but for me, it's a scale. It is more about the film at the top for me than it is at the bottom. When we get to day 3, I want to take chances on athleticism
Absolutely.
and on production. Okay.
It's exactly how it feels to me too. So we're reading the same tea leaves there. So they do like their Senior Bowl guys as well. I know that that's proven that they like those guys, and specifically because of the way that it's performance based, and the combine is more of a, we have this film grade. Does it match up with what we're seeing on film for the combine? So that's something. And also, really quickly, Scott. Yes, I said the same things about George Karlaftis, and I'll be honest, I love what George Karlaftis has done, but he was a second-round player and is still playing like a second-round player. Now, that's perfectly okay. And just because I don't have a first-round grade on a Mizzou player doesn't mean I don't like him. Okay, I would love,
absolutely,
I'd be perfectly okay with him in the second round of Robinson. So yeah, I'd love to do that. So we have to remember that these are fluid things. Just because I don't have a first-round grade on everybody doesn't mean I don't like them.
And even though Dan dropped out, just because you don't have a first-round grade doesn't mean that you don't want him on the roster. And specifically, George has done a lot since being drafted to change his game a little bit. What bend he has now came after he was drafted.
Tamba Hali, working with him in his hand position, has made a huge impact. And if he doesn't come here and doesn't work with Tamba Hali, maybe he doesn't get any better with his hands. We don't know. But the fact that he did, it's showing you that players can get better after the draft. They just can.
Yeah. And that's probably on me a little bit too, because I was in the same boat as you, that I didn't see the path forward for him to actually loosen up his body. I think his hips are silkier now, and I think he can turn a little bit better. Yeah,
he's been working with Bobby too. Like these are all things that we can't know until after they're drafted. So draft grades change, and they're not a stagnant thing. So again, everything changes after you get to a landing spot, develop, working with players, and all this stuff. Like there's so many different things.
And even for Bobby, he's never really been successful with linemen. At least not that we've heard about, right? I'm sure he's trained some. But like George is the first like big dude that has really worked out, because a lot of guys that train with Bobby are specialists, are skilled position players. So couldn't see that one really coming. Ruthless, hope you're doing well. I have a hot take that safety is a pretty big need, like top 4. I wouldn't put it anything above 4, but I mean, it depends what they do with the linebackers. If they can't re-sign either linebacker, then I would probably put that above it, because Cook will be back. Reed's still under contract, and you have Chamari Connor. So, like, I feel like you can go 3 deep there pretty good. And honestly, every time I count out Deion Bush, he's like, hey, remember me? I just make plays, bro.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the free agent market there too. The Chiefs will play around in the free agent market for a depth safety, because they have 3 starters right now. Because I do believe Chamari Connor is going to be that guy with a healthy Brian Cook and Justin Reed. So I understand that, but they can easily add a safety that can fit their 3rd or 4th safety role very easily in free agency, which will be inexpensive as well.
I like it. Would you rather lean free or strong type?
I would personally lean free, because you have 3 guys that can't really do it on their own as much. You have Cook got better at it, but outside of Cook, nobody else on the roster can do it. There's nobody else there.
Yeah, it is a limitation. They were able to compensate, but I agree with you. I would lean that way as well. I'm tempted to say Budda Baker, but he's going to cost $1 million. But he's 28 years old. If he's out in Arizona and he wants to play on the cheap, I mean, I'm taking him all day long.
It'd have to be because he was $14.7 million last year.
Injury history alone, he ain't going to get that. I think he could be, I think he could definitely come in under 10. If you want to push it, you might be able to sell him on, hey, you want to get a ring, bro? You can see the end from here. I mean, it'd be a pretty hard sales pitch, but it could happen. Dez, hope you're well, buddy. Thanks for the super chat. What are realistic left tackle options in free agency and the draft? Left tackle specific. See, now you did a good job narrowing that right the hell down because there ain't a ton. And I'm guessing by the little red emblem that just popped up that I need to speed my mouth.
We both do. Let's talk faster.
Left tackles, I think it's mostly draft. I don't necessarily think the 33-year-old Tyron Smith is something I want to make an investment on. If you look at what just happened in terms of players that put Trent Williams on his butt in that Super Bowl, they may have dodged a bullet paying that money because that's what they were trying to do before Orlando.
So, no. That's just no.
What, free agent?
I'm sorry.
Or Tyron?
No, I'm just not Tyron Smith. I thought you were talking about somebody else. Well, there's 4 left tackles on the free agent market, guys. There's 4. Tyron Smith, Dwayne Brown, Cornelius Lucas, and Donovan Smith. Not one of them is younger than 30 years old.
Donovan's the youngest.
He's the youngest one. Absolutely not. So we're going to look somewhere else for a left tackle. It'll be in the draft, whether it's first round or second round. We'll find out, but there's going to be some options. I'm a big Troy Fontenot fan, and people are starting to come around on the idea like, oh, wait, he has 34-inch arms. It's actually 34 and like 7/8 arms. He has legit size, and people are just like, oh, let's stick him at guard.
I think he looks like a guard. I don't care.
I don't care. He is a damn good tackle. And if he's there at 32 and there's not a player on the board that they want, I mean,
he can move his feet.
Draft him.
He's obviously been measured with enough length, and he'll piss in your cornflakes. I love this dude.
The guy, when you get in the red zone, he turns into a different run blocker because he is not the same run blocker in the red zone that he is everywhere else. He mauls people. It is different. So I'm a big fan there.
You're not going to get Fashanu. I think he's a realistic option. So, and then you'll get into the guys that maybe you have to project in the second. Like
Mims is a realistic option if they trade up.
Yeah. Do you think I wouldn't put him at left? I would leave him at right.
His testing numbers are going to say he can play both, but his inexperience, he hasn't played very much. You can mold him to whatever you want to, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
I would put that in Andy Heck's hands because it's Kansas City. Other teams, probably not.
Yeah.
But Andy Heck, I think, could do it.
Yeah. If you have the base athleticism, you can work in Andy's system. Okay. We will revisit this conversation multiple times. Don't worry about the left tackle options. But thanks, Des. Appreciate you. Quentin, Dan, is Mahomes the new comeback kid taking the title from Joe?
I mean, Patrick Mahomes' record when they're down double digits is better than any quarterback in NFL history because he wins those games. Other quarterbacks don't. So, yes.
Super Bowls alone, he's had to come back by 10 points from every Super Bowl he's won. I mean, for the love of God. And I love Joe. Oh, Quentin, thank you. Adam, nice to see you, buddy. I think you got hooked up in the Discord and everything for the membership. So let me know if you need anything else. I think you're squared away from what I saw. If he's healthy, can Remigio make an impact this year? I think it's a possibility because I think we're not going for volume this season. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs are going to let fewer guys be there, and I think he might squeeze in. The question is going to be, does Powell take a step forward because they do want him back? Is Ross seeing enough to make an impact? I think it's going to come down to Remigio and Ross myself.
I do. And depending on how the draft goes, punt return can be a big thing, and Remigio can take that. If he's the 6th guy, yeah, he absolutely can take that. So I do think he can.
Before you guys start typing in all caps in the chat, Remigio, yes, I know. I keep saying it wrong. It looks Italian to me every time. I'm sorry.
I know it does. And just really quickly before we get to Oz, thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. You didn't have to do this. I understand it was meant no disrespect. We were both just having a little bit of fun with it. Appreciate again, the super chat to apologize. And no big deal, man. We're all having fun here. It's Monday night. We're bantering around. Like, this is part of what we do. And I hope that I didn't offend you in my response as well. That's not what I was about for. So I appreciate you and hope everything's all right.
Yeah, OGs like you, Scott, you get to bring it. Let's go. I ain't too worried.
Yeah.
I ain't too worried. Rumors that OBJ wants to come to Kansas City. He's about a year too late. It's a hard pass for me. How about you guys?
He's like, oh, they went back to back. Oh, maybe I should have gone. I could have been there.
How do you think D-Hop feels? Let's be real.
Pretty sure. OBJ's still going to want $10+ million. Sorry, I'm not doing it. If he's ready to play for like $7-8 million, call me. We're good. We can do that.
I have $4.5 million and a free get out of jail card free for you, OBJ, if you want to come to town.
If you want to play for rings, buddy, and not want to leave that money behind after Baltimore paid you a bag last year. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Get out of Joe's free. How's that? Does that help? Is that better? Here you go.
I like it.
Justin, now that the season is over, I'm interested in some draft talk. You don't say. Well, we have plenty of talk for you. We're going to show you some visuals. There's plenty going on. In fact, Dan, what are we looking at this week for film?
Oh, you guys, just so happens that we've got a Troy Franklin video on the docket for Wednesday, the first film room prospect analysis. And I know that this is the big one that we've talked about a lot. We talked about Troy Franklin a lot. So I wanted to start with the guy who we've done before and get into that. So we're gonna have a lot of fun. I unfortunately, I'm still getting used to this thing. Okay, there's some whiteout screens that I have. I apologize for those in the videos, but we're getting used to this, and it's a little bit of a work in progress. But I'm excited about it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I like it. I'm ready. I'm going to be doing some as well. We're doing things a little bit differently in the terms and the way that we're splitting some things up. I've been spending a lot of time on quarterbacks because at NFL 33. I know some of you guys are members. If you want all the draft information, that's where it's all going to be. And a lot of folks want to talk quarterbacks because we try to cover the whole league there. So I'm starting there, and we'll get down into the positions of need for the Chiefs.
He's so tired of it. He's so tired of it. He's done with quarterbacks, man. He's absolutely out of it.
I should have stopped after the top 6 and just been done. Just because I want to be thorough, I'm still going to round out the grades. But no, there's 6 dudes, and that's it. That's it. Spencer Rattler can go pound sand for all I care.
No, Spencer Rattler. Nope. Spencer Rattler's QB5 in this draft.
No, not even close. He might be 9 on my list. We'll argue about that later. Mike Wallace, thank you, buddy. Okay, hear me out. I love it when those things start that way. Just hear me out, bro. Troy Franklin, AD Mitchell, and Worthy. We have Rasheed. And Gabe Davis as our 3. I think it's a great receiving group. Oh, okay. Okay, so I think he's saying Troy Franklin or Mitchell or Worthy because they have Rasheed. And I like the Gabe Davis idea as a 3 that's going to make $6 million. Like I'm down with that.
That's fine.
Nah.
I'm so done with Gabe Davis, guys. Like, I'm done.
Are you?
I'm not a Gabe Davis fan. I'm just not. I understand the role he would serve, though. He would not drop the ball that MVS dropped this year in some of these games. So I understand wanting that. If he's going to play for half of what MVS got, okay, fine. I'm not going to be too mad about it. I know what he's going to fulfill, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, fine, whatever. But AD Mitchell is a fun player. I'm interested to see his testing because I have some questions about his yards after the catch ability, his ability to create separation against man coverage. Because while this is Kansas City, guys, and people play a lot of zone coverage against everybody, when it matters most, they say, we're playing man and you got to separate. And I don't know if he can do that against these guys. So we'll see. We'll see the testing. And I'm a little bit lower on him than I've seen a lot of fans. But again, he's a good player, smooth hips, really good footwork, excellent ball skills. Just things you can't teach in that department. And if they want to throw jump balls, go ahead and draft him. I got no problem. But we have seen no one does it in Kansas City. So I'm out.
I agree. If it's a go up and get it, dude, and that's what you're doing, sold. He's a day 2 guy to me all day long, and I think he deserves to go there, but I don't
Yeah.
think he's a great fit in Kansas City. So yes,
Unfortunately.
Franklin. I think Worthy goes before Franklin. I think they're both day 2 guys. Worthy in the 40s, maybe 36 to 45.
I have a second round grade on him. I adjusted my grades. I have 3 first round grades at wide receiver. That's it. And then everyone else is like second round, and Worthy is my wide receiver 5 in this group. So if I'm the Chiefs and he's there at 32, I'm probably going to take him.
And I'll tell you, I'm pretty much with you. Like, I haven't done as much formal work as you have. I've just done, and I downgrade guys who don't want to run. Malik Neighbors is scared, and I ain't having it. Get out there. You are not Marvin Harrison Jr. Shut up and run. I'm mad. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm not mad. I think it's fine.
I want to be able to compare an apples to apples because I think Odunze is better, and now I won't have the data to show people that. So, okay. Anyway,
I also have him at wide receiver 2 over Neighbors, so that's cool.
I like the way that you're doing it. See, you're so much more calmer than me. Now that Pat's deal has been redone, it hasn't been redone that I'm aware of. I know they're talking about it. Kelsey said he's going for a 3-peat. Andy's getting a new deal. What nonsense Chiefs story is Florio going to harp on now? Oh, yeah, there's got to be something.
It's going to be there's going to create a rift between Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid. He's holding him back. He wants a head coaching job so bad that Andy Reid says no. Something like that. Like, he's just going to make something up because that's all he does.
I'm waiting for the Andy wouldn't let Eric Bieniemy back in the neighborhood. He had to go to UCLA. That's what I'm waiting for.
Andy Reid said no.
Yeah,
because he's ever said no to someone rejoining the staff.
Right.
Okay,
good for EB. I say do what you got to do. Do it your own way.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you, buddy. 49ers defense dominated the Chiefs. Chiefs offensive line. Which part? How can they fix it? I didn't feel they got dominated at all, to tell you the truth.
They absolutely did. They absolutely got dominated in the first half. They were destroyed in the first half.
They were getting beat up pretty good, but I look at the game as a whole, and they were able to make adjustments and hold their own. So I don't call that.
In the first half, again, they were getting blown up, and they were also behind the sticks a ton. The optics of the first half were bad. But in the second half, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they kind of figured some things out, and they were like, oh, okay, here's what we'll do. And the pressures kind of went away. They were able to run the ball a little more successfully. Things evened out. So I don't know if they have a ton they have to fix, but you do need a left tackle.
I hate to tell you, the team and the staff love Donovan Smith. I ain't going to be scared if they sign him back.
I mean, fine. If he's a depth player, that's fine. But at the end of the day, that's fine. Again, $3 million. I'm not going to complain about that. I will not. I won't sniff at that. I'll be fine.
I'm totally with you. And it doesn't mean you can't draft somebody too.
Nope.
So
because again, I still think you can move Wanya inside if you need to move him inside. It's good to have depth everywhere, not just one place.
Yep, I totally agree. So don't be shocked, folks. Whiskey, I want Jones back, but if he can't be signed, Casey package Jones and 32 this year, the second and third for Jefferson. No. There's no reason that Minnesota would give him up, and there's no reason the Chiefs would give away multiple picks with Chris Jones. He's the opposite for them. He is their big shining Tyreek that will bring them back draft capital so they can rebuild in his place. They're not going to work a deal to give him away plus picks.
This isn't directed at you, Whiskey. I've seen far too many Chiefs should trade for Justin Jefferson stuff. And from this point out, if I see it, I'm not highlighting it. This isn't against you. I'm done talking about it. There is a 0% chance that Justin Jefferson gets traded unless he comes out and says, I want to be traded.
Which only could happen, in my opinion, if they don't bring back Cousins, because he said he wants to play with Cousins. Still a mystery to me.
Even then.
But in that scenario, he could want out. And at that point, I think the Chiefs would have to sit on it because, again, Chris is going to bring you draft capital so you can do what you did with the Tyreek picks and rebuild a whole portion of your roster. They can't afford to give that up and give capital away. So I love the concept of Jefferson on this roster. I love the concept of Kyle Pitts on this roster, but the cost to do that business is just too high. I don't think there's any way either of those things could happen.
No, you'd have to generate even more first-round draft capital because Jones
Yeah.
is entering his 30s. 32 is not valuable to teams. They're going to want future firsts for Justin Jefferson, and it's too much.
I have a little issue. I'm going to have to let you take the next one.
All right. And again, sorry, Whiskey. I wasn't trying to call you out. I'm a little fed up. And no offense to you. Kev, thank you for your super chat. Appreciate you. Ronaldo Green, cornerback, and Marshawn Lloyd, running back. Thoughts? So I like Marshawn Lloyd a lot. I think he's going to be a day 2 pick. And right now, the Chiefs have a first, second, third, a fourth, and 2/5, if I'm not mistaken. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't think they're going to be drafting a running back that early. So as much as I like him, it's a no. And I have not watched Ronaldo Green, Kev. So if you could give me a little bit of information on said player, I would love that. Thank you very much. Chase, thank you for the $5. What do y'all think about offensive tackle Walter Roos from Oklahoma and Kyrie Jackson from Oregon? So right now, I'm not in the tackle depth. I've done a lot of the first round guys. Watched a lot of them. I also watched Tyler Guyton, the other Oklahoma offensive tackle. So I haven't seen Walter Roos. Maybe Ryan has, and I can leave that up there really quickly. And our guy EJ is doing our corners right now, so I haven't done a ton, but I think Kyrie Jackson is still at Oregon. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry I couldn't give you a lot of the information you're looking for, Chase, but if Ryan has anything else that he can add to the situation, maybe he can help out.
Reading real quick. Is it Rouse? Roos? How do I say that?
Rouse. I went Rouse.
Okay. I noticed him in passing just as I'm watching Guyton, but haven't really dug deep on him. Looks like he moves okay. Gets caught with leverage every now and then from what I've noticed, but I haven't, again, dug deep into it, and I'm not looking at corners yet other than my notes from live games, which I do have Jackson on there because I do get a lot of Oregon games on my broadcast area, so I'd have to go back and check my notes on him, though.
I thought he went back to school. Am I wrong?
He may have. I honestly don't know. Not one that I've tracked. It definitely could be. Chase, great questions, though, and I like the way that you're thinking because that's where the value is going to come. I think third round, day 3, early day 3, probably for both those guys that could turn into developmental projects. So I think it's certainly worth a look at both of them, and they will be on our list as we go through the process here upcoming to the draft. Des, what cap number is realistic with restructures? With restructures alone, I believe they can get to about 45 million open. That includes like half of Patrick's number. I don't think they want to take it all because if they take it all this year, you could recoup 35 million from Patrick this year, but it pushes his cap number to like 68 next year. And I just don't think they're going to pull that trigger.
I think they are because they're going to rework his contract.
You think they're just going to tear it up and start over?
That's what I think is going to happen personally. Okay. But and I think that if they do go the whole way with his restructure, that tells you they're going to, because it would be too much to take on next year in that season, even with the cap going up. So if they do the whole restructure, that might tell us that they want to just rip up the contract and start over. And I did find out that Kyrie Jackson did come out. So my apologies.
Okay, so he is in the class. He will be on our list. We will get there. If he's not on the list yet, I will get him on there. So thank you guys. And thank you, Des. Appreciate you. James, you say trade back a few picks and still get a player you want. Would you rather have a 5th-year option or an extra draft pick? I would like an extra draft pick.
I agree, especially because at 32, you're essentially drafting a second-round player anyway. No team at 32 is going to draft one of their first-round and graded players. That just doesn't happen almost ever. So, yeah, give me the extra draft pick.
Yeah. Take swipes at the wide receiver. We've seen how some second-round players don't work out and some do. So I would rather take more shots at it myself. Thanks, buddy.
Agreed.
Adam, who would you like to take in free agency if you could only get one? Pittman, Ridley, Winfield Jr., and then release Reed to save money. I wouldn't release Reed, but if I was going to put somebody with him, Winfield, I don't know if he can exist in Kansas City. There's a lot of animosity for the way he's been on the field to them, but I would say he's probably the player that fits best in Kansas City of those three. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Pittman and Rice kind of have the same role. They aren't used in that deep down the field. They're more of that intermediate. And Rice is a better yak player than Pittman is. He's more of a find the soft spot, which is what the Chiefs like. But Ridley, when we talked about Ridley, and I mean, I don't even think I'd bring any of them in, to be honest with you. They're going to be more expensive than they're worth for this team. And again, I think Reed's more valuable to this team than Winfield Jr. would be.
Agreed. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you, buddy. Kevin, I'm with you, Ryan. I think the Chiefs need to move up in round one for left tackle. Which left tackle would you realistically see KC trading up for in round one? And if they were to go that route, I don't think you have to go for Fatana. So let's just put that there on that table. It feels to me, and it's not just from media side, it does feel like Joel is pretty clearly number one at this point. Questions about Fashanu have fallen him down, I want to say, outside the top 10. I think media is going to push him up in mocks, but I don't think that's reality right now. I think the teams are a little more skeptical. So if you could go up to 12 and get him, then I would say target him. I don't know. Where would you go, Dan, and who would you be going for?
I mean, I personally disagree. I think that Olu's still going in the top 10. And I think we might not see a defensive player selected in the top 10 this year. I think that's very reasonable. It's very, very possible. One of the first times that we've seen that. But specifically at left tackle, it gets tough. It gets tough because the other top guys in this class are right. J.C. Latham's a right tackle. Talise Fuaga is a right tackle. The next guy, I think, is Fontenot. And you also have Jordan Morgan coming out, of Arizona with the injury. But left tackle, I mean, teams are going to talk themselves into Tyler Guyton, too, as a first-round pick. Like, he's going to test well. And he showed well at the Senior Bowl as well. So, Oklahoma left tackles, I think that him and Fontenot, if you're at 32 and if they're on the board, those guys are in play. I think that's a realistic outcome. I don't think it's realistic to trade up to 12. I don't think teams are going to want to do that with you. I just think that that's really outside of the question. But if you get one of those guys fall and you think maybe last year that they couldn't get it right with Juwan Taylor, but maybe this year you want to move him to left and then you take a right tackle. Maybe that's how you go.
I think that's a possibility. That athleticism, and I think he can do that. I do like the concept, I do have to say, of a 3-man Oklahoma line, though. Just putting it out there.
I'm not going to say I don't like it. I like Tyler Guyton pretty good.
And you have a very good point. I think it's going to be harder for the Chiefs to get deals done. Yeah. Everyone's going to be like, no, you just won 2 in a row. I'm not helping you. Go away.
No, we're not doing it.
Leon, hope you're doing well. Can Spagnuolo resurrect Kelvin Joseph? Is he a transplant surgeon? Because if he got him new legs, maybe.
Yeah, it ain't happening, my guy. I'm sorry, Leon. I'm sorry. That ship has sailed. Kelvin is burnt toast. He's like, our friend that used to play that played in Miami this last year, Eli Apple. That ship has sailed.
I don't think Spags can fix him. I'll just not to make fun of you, Leon. Clearly,
no, I'm not either. I'm not trying to.
I liked him coming out too. I think he missed his window to develop, and I don't think it can be recovered. Sorry. Appreciate you and the support though, Gary. Appreciate you as always, buddy. Everybody, give a clap for Gary Armad. Do you see Troy Franklin, receiver Oregon, going to the Chiefs at 64? I'll let you react to that because.
So Gary, I love the questions that you got in here. Unfortunately, I think some of your values are pretty off. Troy Franklin's going probably in the first round. I also see in here you talked about J.C. Latham at 144. J.C. Latham's also going in the first round. So there's going to be some value stuff that doesn't mesh here. And Troy Franklin won't last to 64. There's a big gap between what's happening, specifically at the top of this draft with these teams. It's wide receiver needy in first round. You're going to see 7, possibly 8 wide receivers go in the first round. I would think 8 would be tough to get to, but 7 almost is, a foregone conclusion at this point, in my opinion. So it's going to dry up pretty quickly. I think 3 go in the top 10, and from there, it just opens up. So Troy's going to go in the first to early second, and I wish it could be a little bit longer, but it's just not realistic.
Yeah, I have him and Worthy, Thomas as all top 50 guys. Where they are from 20 to 50, I'm not sure yet. I think, like you said, that gravity just pulls those receivers up. You would think it would be the opposite because there's depth, but I agree. I don't think you'll be there at 64 either. But hey, can always hope. Again, you could stub a toe. You could smoke a joint. Things That's can true. Knock you down the board, bro. Joseph, welcome. Nice to see you, buddy, and thanks for the support. What scenario would you be okay with in the draft? A left tackle in the first and a wide receiver in the second, or wide receiver in the first and left tackle in the second? Also, do you think that Worthy will be there at the end of the first? We've covered that part. And I think these are the 2 most likely scenarios, and I could live with whichever one depending on the grades. I think it's more likely that it's left tackle in the first myself.
Being at 32, yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get a guy that they want. But again, the draft can change very, very quickly. And we're not going to know what their needs are until after free agency. So I still am wide receiver, left tackle, but I'm good with either.
Yeah, I just hope they get one of the guys that grades out best for us, and we're definitely going to have our opinions.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Nice to see you. Scott, thank you again. And again,
yes, thanks,
we're trying to throw shade at you before.
No.
Just trying to be brutally honest. If you had a choice between A, Higgins or Evans, or B, a combination of, say, Tyler Lockett and Jacoby Myers, 2 tier 2s, or a tier 1, what would you do? I'd rather, at this point, with Shee Rice on board, I'd rather have Evans.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I don't think Jacoby Myers is a free agent. So that's because, trust me, I would love to have Jacoby Myers in Kansas City. I think he's a fantastic player, but I think he signed a 2 to 3 year contract in Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I thought it was a 1 year. I had no idea.
I'm looking. I can't see his name. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you.
I have not seen his name up on this list. So,
okay, yeah. The point being is that you have a pillar in Rasheed. I'd like to put someone across from him and fill in the gaps in the slot. And I do think Tyler Lockett is very long in the tooth. I don't know where he is age wise compared to Mike Evans. I'm not sure which one's older.
I think that they are. Let me look right here. 30 for Mike Evans. Tyler Lockett's not a free agent either. So
right.
He's still under contract in.
He's about to be released, right?
I don't know.
I think that's the rumor. I would be.
It is a rumor for sure. He's 31. Mike Evans is 30 and a half. They're pretty close.
Yeah. They're not going to give up on Sky Moore. They're going to still try to right the ship there and get him going. I'm not sure what happened this last season. I thought it was on a pretty good trajectory, but clearly didn't happen. So we'll see what runs in the slot. My big question is, you don't save any money getting rid of Kadarius Toney, so how long do you put up with his antics? That's going to be the question for me. Chiefs, Knicks fan, nice to see you. Yeah, oh yeah. I would love to see Mahomes be the only 3-peat quarterback champion ever, as he has carried this team. It's amazing. From your lips,
we're all with you. I don't think there's any Chiefs fan not with you, Knicks fan. I don't think there's anybody not with you.
Yeah, I cannot say that enough. Yes. Doctor Who, thank you. You get an extension. Everyone gets extensions. Are there any assistants or others who should be getting an extension? I think Merritt's still got 3 or 4 years, so I wouldn't put him in there.
Yeah. Nope.
Trying to see.
Everyone that's gotten one, I think, has gotten one, but there's probably people behind the scenes that I don't know that Ryan would know that would be somebody you want to keep around.
I think Todd Pixton is probably getting close. I'm not sure. I know Tom Melvin's pretty much just functioning year to year. When Travis goes, I do believe Tom Melvin's going to retire like the next day. But, and I do think, if I remember correctly, I want to say Andy Heck might be getting close. But with Daly on there, Cullen, the coordinators, I don't see anybody else that really screams out to me that they need one.
If Heck's getting close, he's the guy that you want to extend because he's one of the best offensive line coaches in football. Period.
Yeah. He still might have two years left, is my guess, though. I don't know if that's enough immediacy, but hey, back-to-back wins will get you some dollars.
Yeah.
With the running back market being so cheap, would you consider signing a vet RB? I think Pacheco is a middle of the road RB, and could upgrade the position at a cheap price. Jake, I like the way you're thinking. I'm not sure who's out there at running back. Do you have that in front of you, Dan, or should I look it up?
I do have that in front of me, actually. So there's the big names: Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon. It's not going to happen. Tony Pollard might end up being cheap, maybe, but no thanks. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not getting tagged in Dallas, and he was $10 million last year. He's not getting that money from anybody. It's just not happening. And we talked about Eckler. No thanks. DeAndre Swift, 25. Okay, fine, but we're talking about an injured guy who is kind of like Isaiah Pacheco in the sense that he doesn't have great vision. He just needs a little bit of runway to get going. I'm trying to find a complement to Isaiah Pacheco, somebody with good vision, maybe not top end speed, but that has good vision, quick twitch ability to make some cuts like that. And I don't really see that on the free agent market. They're not
two quick names. Tell me if you would or wouldn't. Just give me a yes or no. Devin Singletary.
Yes.
Cam Akers.
No.
Okay. I would probably give each of them a look. I'm probably a little lax on Akers because I liked him coming
before Akers got hurt. I'd be with you, but he hasn't even been close to the same guy.
Yeah, you're right. Kevin, Jalen Polk on this roster, please. Yes, I am with you. I concur, my friend. I concur.
If he's there at 64, sure.
Man, he's one of my trade back targets too. I could go in the 40s for him. I don't think I could go in the 30s.
Okay.
Can they realistically look at any big name free agents with Jones and Snead being the priority on the short cap space? Would love to see Brian Burns. Yeah, it all depends what they do. They can restructure their way to about $50 million, which I think they could do something. Obviously Higgins off the board there, but they can save even more money by getting Jones and Snead done, or Jones or Snead done. So I do think that there's a possibility. I'm not sure. I love Brian Burns and I like the way he plays, but he belongs in a 3-4 front, and I'm just not sure if they're going to pull the trigger on it.
I don't think they should either. Again, we have to remember that they can't just throw money at more defensive ends when they've drafted two. They have Charles Omenihu. I know he's hurt, but if you just keep throwing a ton of money at that position, eventually you're going to have a lot of players. And I assume they're going to want to bring Mike Dana back, who's going to be a good, cost-effective, hopeful option.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to amass a lot of money, and Brian Burns is going to want $20 million, let's just go ahead and say that. He's going to want $20 million. So you figure him, Chris Jones on the roster, Charles Omenihu, George Karlaftis, FAU. If you have Mike Dana back, you see what I'm getting at here? It starts to really be really crowded, and you can't afford that much at that position when you have a ton of players there already.
Agreed. Russ, Ridley for 14 or Evans for 21?
None for either.
How about Evans for 14?
How about Evans for 12?
Okay.
How about Ridley for 7? I mean,
I would not sign Ridley for 14 no matter what.
Yeah. If both of these guys want that much money, bye. Thank you. Go somewhere else.
You can sing somebody else's caps.
You don't want a ring? That's fine. Go somewhere else. There's other teams out there that will pay you. We will not.
Chris, office-wise, I thought we lost Brett, someone who was the contract guy. How big of an issue do we see? Yeah. How much of the future contract is concerning? Is there someone else who can fill in? Yes. His name's Chris Shea, and he does a lot of the negotiation. He's not the math CPA numbers guy. But he was involved in everything, including the Mahomes contract, in terms of like working with the agents and doing the back and forth negotiation part. So I do think they're okay. I think they'll get someone in terms of like creative accounting, but I don't think it's got to be a senior level executive. So I do think Crochet will probably take on most of it, is my guess. I haven't heard anything, so I really don't know. Justin, do special teams have ranks? If so, where are we in them and why? I'm sure they do from someone, but I don't know what the special teams ranks are.
Yeah, I haven't looked. I don't have, since yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and blank out on that. But Football Outsiders did DVOA, and now that they moved over to FTN, I don't have access to them. So the Chiefs are a top 5 special teams unit. They just are. And they perennially are a top 5, top 7 special teams unit. I think this year you can argue they were one of the best, even with Tommy Townsend having a down year. The fact that Harrison Butker was literally the best kicker in football this year, but no one wants to admit it for whatever reason, brings them up a ton.
Yeah, I agree with you. I will also say it's going to depend whether you're looking at field position, where they spot it versus net versus a number of other things. But I do believe coverage-wise, they were up at the very top as well. So
yeah,
if we can find that next week, Justin, I'll try to dig that up.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, buddy. Chiefs Kid, how comfortable are y'all with the presumed linebacker core of Nick, Leo, and Drew? I can get down with that. I like Cam Jones, so I feel like in emergency he can grow into a backup player that you can count on. I'm not sure. I think Cochran's a restricted rights free agent. I do think they have to bolster in that group. I'm not sure Cochran and Christensen are here for the long term.
It's nice. They lack coverage ability, those starting 3. And Drew lost a little bit of his coverage ability when he put on some weight to help against the run. And it helped him as an overall player.
Yeah.
But they are lacking at coverage with those 3, and that can be severely picked on. That was one thing that, at least with Willie out there, they were like, okay, we have to move guys around to find the matchups that we want. With those 3 out, you don't have to move anybody around. You can just start throwing the ball, and it becomes a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you on Drew in particular. I think he should drop a little bit of weight back off because I think there's room to move Leo into the middle a little bit more and use him kind of in the way they use Drew. Maybe.
I don't know, man. It's possible. I think that the fact that they like to move around Leo so much and he's such a chess piece, it's going to keep Drew on the inside and he's going to need it.
I'm with you. Why Yoder 5? Heading to the Indy for the Combine. Well done. There's a number of places that you need to get to. You got to try the shrimp. Just get the shrimp at Elmo's. It's okay.
Everyone keeps saying about that, man. I don't understand it. Like, they can't be that good. It's just shrimp.
It is just shrimp. It's the sauce that makes it. I get it here because they'll mail it to you. I use it here. It's awesome.
Shrimp is fine, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get shrimp my 3 days that I'm there.
Yeah, when you're in a landlocked state. Yeah, I totally hear you there. Any tips for attending the Combine? I've never attended the Combine as a non-participant. I went when I was a coach a lot of years ago. And now that they've opened it to the public, it's never been done before. I've never participated in that. So I don't have anything for you, Yoder. I'm going to look for you to bring us feedback.
Yeah, because this is my first time too. If you guys didn't know, I was credentialed by Cover One. I got their only credentialed pass, so I will be attending the Combine as a credentialed media member, which is insane. I can't actually believe that I am a credentialed media member for the NFL Combine. I'm blown away.
Let me take this moment to say I'm proud of you, because that is an accomplishment that I have never gotten, and I've done this forever. So it's a testament to your work and the fact that you're willing to grind and you've done all the work, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
And we will reap some of the benefits of Dan's personal experience because he's going to have an edge over everyone who's not going to be there. So cheers, dude.
Thank you.
Yours are on
I
me.
Appreciate that.
Alex, signing Hollywood Brown and taking wide receiver in the draft sounds like something the Chiefs would do. I don't think he would cost a whole lot. Unfortunately, I think he's going to cost more than I'm willing to pay.
If he's asking for MBS contract, probably out. If he's asking for less than 10 million, my ears perk up a little bit. But we got to talk about the fact that you've been injured multiple times. I don't have an issue with the catching issues. Drops don't bother me. They really don't, unless it's this bad. like what we saw in Kansas City this year. If it's this bad,
Okay.
I start to get upset and it hurts me physically. But in general, I don't have a problem with the drops. But if he's asking for over $10 million, just no. Well, next.
Yeah. Get younger. Just keep churning it over. I'm totally with you. Adam, and thank you, Alex. Appreciate you as always for the support, buddy. Adam, in what order and in what order round would you draft KU's tackle? Pooney's gonna be a guard, I'm pretty sure. Although kudos to him, he played all 5 positions at the Senior Bowl, and I thought he made himself a lot of money. I think he's easily a day 2 guy. Could he jump into the second? I think it's a vague possibility. I would be okay in the 60s, just on either side of the round cutoff. Push him into the top 50. I don't think is something that I would do.
No, I got a very firm 3rd round grade on him, like solid middle of the round. Made himself some money. He was a fringe day 2 guy going into Senior Bowl, and he was like, "Hey guys, I can snap too," and he was playing all of them, and he did a very good job. He was very good and earned a lot of money. And I would love to have him on this roster, a valuable player that can play all 5 positions. That is an invaluable type of thing. And Dominic Pooney is a good player. He's a good player. He's not someone. He's like that Nick Allegretti type of player. He's like, I'm going to come in. I'll give you my best. Whatever you need from me, I got you. And I love that. He is my guy for this draft cycle for me. I love what he brings.
You and me both. If they didn't have 2 major positions in the top 5 pillars to fill, I would say it might be an option. But rest assured, Jayhawk fans, there's a possibility you could get an edge rusher in the 5th round, maybe 6th.
Booker, cough. I don't think it's going to be that late. I don't think it's going to be that late.
I keep crossing my fingers.
4th round, maybe if they're lucky. I think he might be an end of day 3, end of round 3 guy.
He could be. Can we get a comp? Can we just get a comp pick so I can get him? For the love of God. Oh, what are your thoughts on the trend that more and more head coaches skipping the combine scouting season? It's not that they're skipping it. It's just the in-person, the technology has made it to the point, especially for playoff coaches who, let's be honest, are tired, that it's more efficient than them being there. And he's going to be there for 2 days. He's not staying for the whole thing. I can guarantee you that.
Makes me sad.
I know, right?
I'm going to miss out on it.
In the end, it's about trust of your front office staff and your scouting team in particular. And so while it's a little disconcerting, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, me either. It's fine. It just, things change.
And if you want an outside opinion, coach, we're happy to provide a few. Kevin, thanks, brother. Compared to the other coaches, how much does locker room fit go into Veach and Andy's evaluations? We seem to have done well in avoiding disruptive deeps. I assume you're talking about players because I don't think there's any divas in the coaching staff.
No, he's talking about players for sure.
I think Andy, this is how it feels to me. I don't know this at all. My inside contacts in the Chiefs organization have dried up in recent years, folks. So I don't have any true insight, but from the outside looking in, Brett Veach goes for talent and ability, and then Andy gets to stamp it. And so I think Andy's the one that's a little bit more like, give the guy a second chance. He can come in here. We'll help him out. He can be a decent dude.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. And they're open to bringing in guys with checkered pasts. Let's be very honest. They are kind of a harbinger team for players that have screwed up. And they make no bones about it. And I think the difference is, like, when you see teams like the Cowboys bringing in guys like that, and they're like, oh, they're just trying to get the best out of that player. I truly believe that the Chiefs try to make everyone a better person. And you can argue that every single person that maybe had checkered past before came to Kansas City and left a better person. Maybe one player will be excluded from that, but we'll find out.
Nobody bats 1,000. You know what I mean? Thank you, Kevin. Great question. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Kevin.
Tom, likewise to you. Franklin Thomas, Worthy, Pope, McCaffrey. Rank them as best fit for us, plus the chance of being available for us when we pick and in which rounds. Fit specifically, what do you got?
All right. Well, if you assume that Rashee Rice stays in his role now, he's the yak guy, he's the underneath player, that would make Brian Thomas the number 1 fit for them out of these guys because of his size, his speed, and the overall body type, because he does fit that. He has some route running concerns, in my opinion, and then it would be Worthy, and then it would be Franklin, and you guys will find out a little bit more about Franklin on Wednesday, and we're going to do Worthy next week. And then it would be Polk, and then McCaffrey on day 3.
I don't even have
all
draft
the way
grade on
down.
him.
I like Luke McCaffrey, but he is you can only scheme him the football. I don't believe he's going to be able to win in the NFL.
He ain't no Christian. Let me put it that way.
No. And he's, again, ex-quarterback, trying to make the transition. He looks like a quarterback playing wide receiver. He's thin and not in a good way.
If they flip it and Rasheed plays more outside and is more the X type than inside, I think it goes Worthy, Polk, probably Franklin Thomas, no?
I think Polk is the outside guy. I don't think he can play on the inside. I don't think he's that yak player. I don't think he has that to his game, personally. So he would go down the list a little bit. Franklin can still, or Thomas can still do that with his speed. I don't see a ton of like yak ability from him though. Like he and Polk register the same in a lot of ways to me, but Thomas has the explosive speed that I don't see a lot out of Polk. We'll see how he tests. But that's my opinion.
Okay. I'm interested to see how you feel later. I don't know how much you've done on Polk so far.
I've done all my film on Polk. I got my finalized grade on him. I'm just not as high as you are.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That'll be interesting. Okay. I think we answered Tom's first question. I got confused because there's 3 of them in a row. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Tom.
Did you hear that Peter announced his retirement? I did. Peter King, by the way, is a journalist. They used to write things down, Dan, back in the day.
Asshole. I will say that I have not really consumed much of Peter King's content. I'll be very honest. And that's not because I don't have any respect for him. It has nothing to do with that. But I typically don't read people who do reporting very much at all. And I stick to the film side and that kind of thing. So again, happy for him. I know he's a legend. Just never really did much of his stuff. That's all.
That's cool. That's cool. You're lucky to be in this genre where that's available. Because back when I started reading him, he was probably the most inside guy that was about real ball, right? Because we didn't have a film analyst at the time. And little inside football for you guys. When I first started in media, my first column was a 10 Things I Think, based as an homage to him because I read him for years in his 10 Things I Think. Really, really happy for him. And he's a lot of the reason where I was like, you know what? I could probably write about this. I was wrong because I need an editor and I'm a terrible writer, but I could do the podcast thing. So cheers to Peter anyway.
Absolutely.
And here's an interesting one on a guy who's falling down boards reportedly. That's my guess too. It feels media related to me. What are your thoughts on Nate Wiggins from Clemson? I think he's one of the guys who might really pop some eyes with speed in this particular combine. I know he's a little undersized. I know he makes some mistakes, but I don't know. I still see him as a day one guy.
I have him as my like cornerback too. I feel like he's a legit. And he and Quinyon Mitchell will go back and forth. I might end up bumping Quinyon Mitchell over him. But I have Quinyon 3 right now. I have Arnold 1, and I have Wiggins at 2. And I don't have any real concerns about him being able to transition to the NFL. I think he's an excellent corner, and I don't have really any worries. Personally, I know they're talking about him being undersized, but he's got length. He's physical. He's really good change of direction. He has oily hips. He can change, move, all that stuff. I got zero worries about him personally.
Rock and roll. Hey, I'm happy to do more film on him once I'm done with these other guys. Yeah. Knicks fan, nice to see you. Thank you again. One thing I don't like is how fans always want to give up on players. I say, be happy. I'm glad we got Pop for so cheap and he plays hard. Absolutely. I don't think either of us want to give up, and we just want to supplement him.
Yeah, that's it. I got no problems keeping him in Kansas City. Like nothing. He's been legit. Sometimes he's been the only spark plug for the offense. Like, And you need those kind of players, and someone that you can hand the football off and he can energize your entire offense in one run. That is something you can't really find anywhere in just whatever player. It doesn't usually happen. So I'm be happy to have him in Kansas City for as long as he's willing to stay. And I would just like to give him a compliment in terms of
Yeah.
just somebody who compliments his game. That's all.
I want an uppercut to go with the jab. I'm there. I'm
Yeah,
there. I
that-
want
I'm
to
good
knock
with that.
somebody out every now and then. That's all. Chiefs fan, thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you very much. And I saw lots of people in here congratulating me. Thank you very much, guys. It's been I love it. You guys are the best, and everything that we get to do here is just reflection of you. Like, that's what we do this for you guys, and that's what this is. So my success has a lot to do with everything that I want to provide for you. And so that's all that I can say is, again, thank you. And you guys continuously bring us the best support. You're the best fans in anywhere that I've seen. I can tell you that much. So thank you guys.
You're champions, all of you. I just wanted to say that. I've been waiting to say that for a week. Thank you, Brenda.
Appreciate you,
Graphic
Brenda.
13, we're going to end on this one. Thank you all for being here. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell if you're new to us, and be ready because we have content coming for you as Dan goes off to the Combine. We'll have more later in the week live. We'll have some pieces before then as well. Adonai Mitchell, how much does he interest you? And more importantly, Dan, where?
So I like Adonai Mitchell. I do. I like him a lot. He's a really good route runner. He's tall. He's lanky. He's got really good ball skills. He can just kind of float in the air. That's something you can't teach, just stopping time while you jump. I don't know how to do that. That'd be cool if I knew how. But I don't have him in the first round. I know that lots of people like him. I like him too. I like him in the second round. I like him in the 50s. Like, he's going to be like a top 50-ish player for me. So around 50, 45, 55, in that area is where I like Adonai Mitchell. That's where I like him. And again, if the Chiefs want to keep Rasheed as a Z and bring Adonai in as an X, we're fine. I'm okay with that. He doesn't have deep speed, though. Doesn't have it. He also gives up on plays like all the time, and that bothers me. I don't like it. Like, it irks me watching his film, watching him just say, I'm not getting the ball. I'm not running my route. I don't like that.
Yeah. There's a reason this is his second college. So
yeah,
just keep that in mind, folks. Tom, you're on the bandwagon with Poke too. I like that, and I appreciate you. Thank you guys for being here with us. Dan, thanks for going over. We tried.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all good. Also, Alicia, thank you for coming in late and asking. I was credentialed to go to the NFL Combine, so I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So.
Dang. Thank you, Brenda, for being here. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night and a great week. We'll have videos for you in the next few days, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll definitely be live later in the week here as well. So have a great one. Enjoy yourself, and we'll talk to you next time.